Welcome to Lessons of an EOS Implementer. I am Steve Banish. This is Dave Borland, and we are EOS Implementers. Today we're going to continue the discussion of accountability chart. Last time we set it up. We went through the journey of if we had to do it all over again, how would we structure the organization for clarity and simplicity? So now we got to figure out, how do we use it?
Great question. So how do we use this? You'll notice we have in red people's names, right? So we had the box first, the role, the responsibilities first. Responsibilities, you think about this as your job description. It's very concise. By the way, Steve, when you work with clients, typically what is their normal cadence for reviews?
Like once a year, and they do it for money.
That's right, exactly. It's a fight, right, between the two people. So this is an idea. By the way, it's one role. Joelle has two roles. She typically doesn't have two job descriptions. She'll have one with 50 bullet points on it and a bunch of legalese. So what we want to do is we want to be clear, right? So we did this already. So the second part is, how do we use this, right? The question. So how we use this is we're crystal clear on the role. We're crystal clear on the person that's in the role. That's their name. There's one name in the box if it's a leader. The second part there is now we have to do a regular conversation with that person. So if I am the LMA, what is an LMA? Lead, manage, and they'll be accountable. So the idea of leading them, managing, helping them to be accountable. Accountable to what? Accountable to the bullets in here, the responsibilities of that role, right? So let's pretend that I'm Bob, and I have to work with Dan. I'm going to work with Dan. I'm going to have a conversation with Dan. I do mine quarterly. I recommend quarterly. Do you do the same?
Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm.
So quarterly conversations, we call them, not quarterly reviews. Think of it like this. I'm going to sit down with Dan, and I'm going to say, Dan, how are we doing with your role? And there's a thing called get it, want it, and have capacity to do the role. GWC in the EOS world, another three-letter acronym. But the idea of get it, want it, have capacity. Does Dan get it? Does he want the role? And does he have time capacity, mental capacity, all the capacities that you can think of? But this particular one, this marketing is well served by Dan in the role.
Yeah.
So I can ask him that question. So as I go through, and I can go through each bullet, I can literally say, do you lead the team well? That's his first job. Does he have the right processes and systems in place in case Dan is not here? Is he getting leads? Right, that's a particular one. Like, do we have a number, a scorecard, a metric, if you will? And is our brand tight? Is it good? Mm-hmm. So it's an easy conversation on the get it, want it, have capacity to do the role as well.
Yeah, so now something comes up with many of my clients. Tell me if it does with yours. So you've got an individual now down in the staff of the organization, and they're wondering, I'm getting directions from multiple people. Who am I supposed to pay attention to?
That's a great question. So let's pretend it's my name, Dave, down here, right? Mm-hmm. And Dave is in operations. And you're saying that is Bob coming to me? Is that the situation, perhaps? Sure, right? And so this happens a lot. Sometimes this person up here, the visionary, comes down and wants things to happen right now. And they'll say, hey, Dave, I want you to do this. That kind of conversation. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is where it gets interesting because a lot of clients will have started that way. The boss runs around doing everything because that's how they started the business. They were everything. And all this company grew up around them over time. And so they'll have this person down here that's being told what to do by somebody here, or even over here, right? And so clarity on that is he's going to need to talk with Andy. Dave is going to need to talk with Andy and say, Andy, listen, Joelle owns a company and all, and I get it. She's coming to me with this stuff. What should I do? And in this case, Andy needs to own the role. It's like his own little business in here that says, I'm responsible for leading this team here. Mm-hmm. That part here. And he's got to have a conversation with Joelle.
So what ends up happening is this team at the level 10 meetings, when they're coming together, if this is causing confusion, it's likely, or it's the responsibility of the leadership team to bring it up at the level 10 meetings, right? It's
exactly.
an issue.
And speaking of level 10 meetings, the other purpose of this, of course, is we're all moving together. We're not single teams and silos, right? So I don't want to make you think that. The idea here is we are a single entity. These people happen to own, if you will, the responsibility of sales or marketing or operations or finance. You notice there's no titles in here. So the idea of if I'm leading sales, I come to those level 10 meetings with the, if there's an issue about sales, I should be driving that question.
Right.
What's going on with sales? Hopefully I'm not sitting back doing that because I'm responsible for making sure it happens. But if somebody else is part of the team, we're part of the team. We all need to make sure that we are responsible to each other, accountable to each other as well.
Right, exactly. As we say in EOS, a leadership team is collectively accountable for the results of the overall organization. There's no such thing as, it's not my job.
Right, exactly.
Right? So this has been Lessons of an EOS Implementer, how to use your accountability chart. If you have any questions, please go to growexceptional.com.